And this is the final video in the series of videos for Word 2013 Unit A, which we're going to be looking at the information on pages Word 16 and 17, in which we're going to be navigating a document. The Word Zoom feature lets you enlarge a document in the document window to get a close-up view of a detail, or to reduce the size of the document in the document window for an overview of the layout as a whole. You can use the zoom in and zoom out on the document using the tools in the Zoom group on the View tab, or you can use the Zoom level buttons and Zoom slider on the status bar, which we saw in a previous lesson here. So next what we're going to do is we're going to look at step 1, and step 1 on page Word 16 tells us that we're going to click your name in the upper left corner of the document. So you may need to scroll back up on there, and we see that here's my name, and you should be seeing your name on your document. And when you click on this, that is going to select this content control. Next, we're going to right-click the Your Name content control. And when we do that, we get a shortcut menu that appears up here. Next, it tells us we're going to click the Remove Content Control on the menu that opens, or the shortcut menu. So we point to Remove Content Control, and when we click on that, on there, it's actually removed the content control, but our name still is there. So now what we need to do is we need to select our name, or select your name, and we're going to decrease the font size on the mini toolbar. Now, of course, you notice that my mini toolbar just went away, but to get it back, remember, all you have to do is just right click. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button right here, which is the decrease font size. And it tells me that I'm going to click on that 3 times. So here's 1, 2, and 3. Then next, it tells us that we need to type Quest Specialty Travel on there. So we're going to type in Quest Specialty Travel. And of course, you notice that it is using the feature where it's going to roll the text to the next line that's on there. That is the word wrap that's on there. That's going to take that to the next line, so we don't have to press enter all the time, because the text is large enough to where all that's not going to fit on one line. And the next, continue on with step 1, we want to click on Job Title. And it tells us we want to hit our backspace key twice. And when we hit it twice, we remove the content control for job title, as well as the little arrow that was in front of it. Then next, we want to click on the second job title, and we're going to click on backspace twice. So we're removing it as well. Now, of course, removing the content control from your name changes the text to what we call static text. And that you can replace with other text. Otherwise, it's wanting to use that field where it has our name in it on there. And of course, we notice that by using the backspace, that's going to remove the job title placeholders. In step 2, it tells us that we want to drag the vertical scroll box down until the bottom of the page is visible in your document window. And of course, the vertical scroll bar is right over here. So we're just going to click on that and drag it all the way down to the bottom. And the scroll arrows, or scroll bars, allow you to scroll through the document. You scroll through a document when you want to display different parts of the document in the document window. You can also scroll by clicking the scroll arrows above and below the scroll bar, or just by clicking the scroll bar. Now, of course, if you do not see the vertical scroll box, you need to move the pointer to the right side of the document window to display it. So you'll notice that if you leave it there for a little bit, you may not actually see the scroll bar on there, but then when you move your mouse pointer toward the right, you will see it there. Next, on step 3, it tells us that we want to click on Website. So we're going to click here on Website to move the insertion point to the bottom of the page. Then next, we're going to click on the View tab. Once we click on the View tab, we want to click on the Page Width button in the Zoom group. So here's our Zoom group, and here's our Page Width button. And notice that when we click on that, the document gets a little bit bigger. And that way the document is enlarged to the width of the document window. Now when you enlarge a document, the area where the insertion point is located appears in the document window. In step 4, it tells us that we want to click on Address 1. And when we click on that, we need to replace it with some additional text. And the text that we're going to replace it with is going to be 340 West Market Street. Then you hit your enter key to go down to the next line. San Diego, comma, capital C, capital A for California, and then the zip code of 92101. Now notice that when you clicked on that address 1 on there, it actually removed the entire placeholder text for all the different areas. So that shows you the format that you can use, but when you start typing, it disappears. Now you do not always need to replace the placeholder text with the type of information suggested in the content control. So if you want to use something else, you can feel free to do that. Next, on step 5, it tells us that we want to click on the zoom level button on the status bar, which is right over here. And that is where it has the percent. Now yours may say 154%, or it may say, in this case, 182%. But it should be that percent. And when you click on it, it brings up the Zoom dialog box. And here, you're going to use this Zoom dialog box to select a zoom level for displaying the document in the document window. Now you can also click on the Zoom button in the Zoom group on the View tab to open up the Zoom dialog box as well. So you can click on this right here, and that will do the same thing. Next, on step 6, tells us that we want to click on the Whole Page option button, and then we're going to click on OK. And of course, now the entire document is displayed in the document window. Next, on step 7, tells us that we want to click the Quest Specialty Travel. So we're just going to click right over here to Quest Specialty Travel. And that's going to move the insertion point to the top of the page. And then what we want to do is we want to move our zoom slider to the right until the zoom percentage is 100%. And our zoom slider is this little bar that's right here on across this horizontal bar here. So if we click on this, we're just going to drag it over, and it's going to be toward the middle. And right in the middle should be the 100%. You can tell what percent you are by looking at the zoom level button on the status bar. And of course, dragging that zoom slider to the right enlarges the document in the document window. Dragging the zoom slider to the left allows you to see more of the page at a reduced size. You can also move the zoom slider by clicking a point on the zoom slide as well, or just by clicking the zoom out and zoom in buttons, in which those are the plus and the minus that's on there as well. Next, on step 8, tells us that we want to click the Read Mode button on the status bar, in which it looks like a little book right down here, and this is it right there. You notice the screen tip tells us that it's the Read Mode. And when we click on that, the document is going to appear in the document window in Read Mode view. And Read Mode view hides the tabs and the ribbon to make it easier to read the document on the screen. Now, Read Mode view is useful when you're reading long documents on there. So it's one of those things that you want to use that to kind of clear out your screen so you can really fully see your document. Next, on step 9, tells us that we want to click the Print Layout View button on the status bar, which is just directly to the right of the Read View button. And that takes us back to the view that we're familiar with. And that is the default view is the Print Layout View. Next, it tells us that we want to click on our plus symbol here, and that's the Zoom In button. And we want to click on this twice to zoom in, and then we're going to save your document. And now, if you take a look at step 10, it tells us that you need to submit the document to your instructor, then close the file, and then we're going to exit Word. So make sure that you do save your document, and then you can go ahead and close this file down, and then move to Course Sites, and you're going to upload this document, which is the WDA Rainforest letter, as well as the other document that you created during this walkthrough, which was the WA Barino Tour Memo document on there. You're going to upload both of these files onto Course Sites underneath the walkthrough for Word Unit A. Now, before we finish the video, if you take a look on page Word 17, it does give us a little bit of information about using some of the different Word document views. And of course, the document views are different ways of displaying a document in the document window. Each Word view provides features that are useful for working on different types of documents. The default view, which is the print layout view, which you're currently looking at right here, displays the document as it would look on a printed page. The print layout view is helpful for formatting text and pages, including adjusting document margins, creating columns of text, inserting graphics, and formatting headers and footers. It's also useful in the Read Mode view, which displays document text so that it is easy to read on the screen. Other Word views are helpful for performing specialized tasks, such as the Web Layout view. If you take a look at the Web Layout view, this allows you to format web pages or documents that will be viewed on a computer screen. In Web Layout view, a document appears just as it will when viewed on a web browser. Then we also have the Outline view. And of course, the Outline view is a little bit different, but it's also useful in editing and formatting longer documents that include multiple headings. Now, Outline view allows you to reorganize text by moving the headings. Of course, finally, on there, if we go into Draft view shows a simplified layout of the document without margins, headers and footers, or graphics. When you want to quickly type and edit text, it's often easiest to work in Draft view. You switch between the views by clicking the view buttons, which you've just seen on here. You click on these view buttons here on the View tab, on the View ribbon there in the Views group. Now, of course, changing views does not affect how the printed document will appear. It simply changes the way you view the document in the document window. So notice that I have moved those to the different views on there. However, my document still looks the same in the print layout view. Now that concludes this series of videos for Word Unit A. You are now ready to move on to your assignments for Word Unit A, which is located on the content folder on your course sites.